at least on the city administration or something.
Oh, Blake. Good. Doing all right? Quiet, thank goodness. Quiet, thank goodness.
I used to teach at Southeastern University. Honestly, I had my I taught at the University of Texas.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let the record show that it is approximately 6 o'clock and the September 8, 2020 Durant City Council meeting is now in session. Would everyone please stand while James Dalton leads us in prayer and remain standing while our city manager leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the day, the beauty of the day, the breath of life you give us, and the health you give us, Father. We especially want to thank you for that in this time of when the pandemic is going around, Father. Sometimes we take our health for granted, Father. Lord, we just thank you for every good thing. We thank you for the country we live in. Thank you for our family. We pray for wisdom for the council tonight as we look into how best to serve our citizens, Father. Lord, we thank you again for every good thing. In Jesus' name, amen. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Would our clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Shear. Councilmember Tomlinson. Councilmember Morris.
Here.
Vice Mayor Brittingham.
Here.
Mayor Groby.
Here, we do have a quorum as all council members are present. Starting our order of business, our first item is our consent item. Consent items A through H. As you all know, these consent items can be approved as one item, or anyone wishing to pull out an item can do so at this time. Does anyone wish to pull any items out of consent?
Item C.
Item C has been pulled out. Any other items? If there are no other items pulled out, we will go to 2 and we will consider items removed from consent. Item C, 1. Oh, I'm sorry. I need a motion for approval of the rest of the consent items, less consent item C. Do we have a motion?
Move approval of the consent docket, less item C.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Shear.
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham.
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries. We will go back to 1B, item C, consider approval of recommendation by Parks and Recreation Advisory Board for naming of new disc golf course in honor of Craig Parker. Any discussion?
Well, the reason I asked for that to be pulled for discussion is Mike here. Hello. Mike's not here. But I thought that this recommendation is a very noble an honorable gesture on the part of that group of folks in the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. If any of you, or if we all read that recommendation from Mike in naming this disc golf course in honor of Craig, there's no question but that he played an integral part and quite frankly deserves the honor. And I didn't know if Mike would be here. I thought he might want to make some comments, but I will just consider the comments I've made in honor of Craig and his time and effort and passion that he put into making that a reality. And saying that, I move that we follow and approve the recommendation by the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board and name the new disc golf course in honor of Craig Parker.
We have a motion that we approve consent item 1C, the recommendation to advisory board for naming the new disc golf course in honor of Craig Parker. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries, and I think we're all in agreement that this is a good thing. The next item on our agenda are information items, number 3. If there are no questions about those, or if there are any questions, if you wish to discuss or talk to any of these department heads at this time, we may do so. Anybody wish to? If not, we will move to item 4, administration. Consider approval of resolution 2020-32, extending the state of emergency until October 14, 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Do we have a motion? Or do we have any discussion? John, would you like to say just
This just extends it to the 14th and
Okay.
continues to do the same thing we've been doing.
any further discussion? If not, do we have a motion?
I move we approve resolution 2020-32, extending the state of emergency due to COVID-19.
We have a motion made by Councilman Marsh. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries. Number 4B, consider approval of 20/21 employee health and dental benefit renewals with Blue Cross Blue Shield and Vision Benefit with VSP, or take any other appropriate action. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on this agenda item? Please come forward.
Thank you, Mayor Ruby. My name's Dustin Brand. I'm Vice President of Employee Benefits at Insurica. We're an insurance brokerage firm, and we've helped the city for the last 4 years, I believe, on its renewals. We were the firm that originally helped the city to exit that self-funded plan several years ago that had gone awry. This renewal this year, and does anyone need a hard copy of this? Okay. If we go to the very last page, I can do a great job of summarizing your plan year-over-year program cost. Let you get there real quick. Would be your next to last page. There you go. So you can see 2017-18, 18-19, the medical plan cost, it continued to go down just year over year. This year, we're challenged with a little bit different performance issue. The claims the premium cost that the city did pay in to Blue Cross Blue Shield Blue Cross actually paid out more than that on claims due to high cost claims, ongoing high cost claims. So your end result on your medical loss ratio this year was 110%. Typically that would result in a very large renewal, but we were actually successful in getting Blue Cross Blue Shield to revisit some of the ongoing risk. We made a move and a strategic move to prove to Blue Cross that the city is a good risk ongoing. We were able to get what we thought was originally going to be a very double-digit serious renewal increase down to 1.7% increase. So that's about a $37,000 bump to the city's annual cost. And that would be a shared cost that the employees pay as well as the city itself. The second item there is the Insure Oklahoma subsidy. That was a program that we implemented back when we first onset. We've actually increased, as you can see, the subsidies coming back to the city for those qualified plan members. So you've got $230,000 this year that it's actually offsetting your cost. So that's going to help bring that 1.7% down, even a little bit more than what we originally projected. And then your net medical cost minus your Insure Oklahoma subsidies is going to be about 2.2 million versus 2.242 last year. So it's still even though it is an increase, it's very palatable. It's very good price point from the market, from what we're seeing in the market. The rest of the programs, the Blue Cross Blue Shield dental insurance, it's actually going down a little over 6%. So you're going to have a rate reduction there. VSP, which is the vision, will be staying the same, no rate change. So that's very, very good for the plan members. And then the Blue Cross Blue Shield life insurance is going up a little over a point. It's going to be a $2,000 increase. And that was a result of some losses that exceeded the premium. So it's just basically Blue Cross making an adjustment to make it perform a little bit better. And then dependent life, the city covers for spouses and children. That's going to remain the same, no rate increase. So at the end of the day, if you're looking on that very bottom line, you've got a $29,583 total increase for the entire program. That's medical, dental, life, vision, all in. So it's a $29,000 increase, which is a 1.2% bump to the city's bottom line, which again is shared with the employees as well. We'll continue to drive and push the Insure Oklahoma program to try to trigger more subsidies to help bring that cost down even more for the city. All right, any questions of me?
Anyone have any questions?
Yes. And I don't know if Carrie, you want to help or John on this, but, and you briefly were related to it, but the shared cost increase for the city and the employee, is our employees, okay, help take me to school on, we pay the employees, but how does our payment plan work? As far as employees and dependents?
Yeah, contractually, it's a group health policy, so it has to be a shared contribution by the employer and the employee. The city has continued to pay 100% of the employee cost, with the dependents being picked up, the majority of the dependent costs being picked up by the employees. And that's pretty standard when you look at municipalities. We had done some additional benchmarking for the city and kind of went through that. I'd be more than happy to have my team put together any additional analysis that the commission would need or council would need.
No, I appreciate that, and I appreciate this really, thank goodness, kind of simple chart that was very easy to look at and look at the history. But I think still the bottom line from the question I have is, our cost has gone up some. Does the employee cost for the dependent coverage, is that going up? Okay.
I might comment that this seems to be much lower than our premiums were before we went with, when we were self-insured.
Yes, ma'am.
A lot more, a lot lower.
It is. You are
Yeah.
very right.
Okay. Are there any other questions for this nice gentleman? Are we ready to call for the vote? Do we have a motion?
Move approval of the 2021 employee health and dental benefit renewals with Blue Cross Blue Shield and the vision benefit with the VSP.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, sir, for your presentation. Item 4C, consider and approve award of financing for the purchase of 5 police patrol cars. Miss Ann, how are you?
Good, how are you? Well, about 3 weeks ago, Treasurer's Office sent out the financial equipment financing request to our local banks and one the financial corporation. And we request for the 5 PD police department Tahoe, 5 Tahoes purchasing financing request. And then we got 5 response. And the Vision Bank is got the best rate. So I recommend the Vision Bank, you know, for us to do the financing.
Are there any questions for Miss Ann?
Move approval of financing for the purchase of 5 police patrol vehicles through Vision Bank.
I have a question. I guess it's appropriate. Are these coming fully equipped or will we have to send them out?
This is including the vehicle and the equipment, I believe.
They're going to be ready to go, like? Okay, gotcha. Okay. All right, anyone else have any questions? If not, would you please restate your motion?
I move approval of the award to finance the purchase of 5 police patrol vehicles through Vision Bank.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries. 4D, consider approval of proposal from Oklahoma LED authorizing the installation of LED lighting. Mr. James.
How are you, Mayor?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. You know, council wanted to come to you with this particular proposal. A lot of times we'll come ask you for money, and maybe the return on investment is not quite there. We think this is one that the return investment will be there for us. What we did is we had a company known as Oklahoma LED come out and we surveyed all of the lighting in all of our buildings around the entire city. Oklahoma LED spent approximately 2 weeks here with us. They had people come in, they'd open up the light fixture, they'd see what type of lights were in those fixtures. They'd estimate the kilowatt per hour usage on those particular fixtures. And then they would look at a replacement of being an LED and what that would save us in energy cost. Now, if you can imagine just in this room alone, but take this all across the city, what they looked at in our buildings, we would pay based on the kilowatt hours of usage about $8,200 a month to OG&E. Now, we did not look at the ballparks because those are a separate item. We'll come back and visit with you on that later. But we did look at, like I say, all of our interior facilities, which would include everything from all the public works buildings, water, sewer, airport, emergency management, city hall complex. I mean, anything like that that we had, we wanted to go look at. Fire, police, a lot of these places where the lights burn around the clock. So we looked at those and we wanted to look at the energy savings possibly that we could get. We, again, like I said, we pay OG&E about $8,000 plus a month just for the lights that we looked at. By replacing them, we would have to, OG&E is going to give us an energy credit of about $90,000. The ultimate cost on that, if we purchase that outright from Oklahoma LED, would be about $337,000 with a $90,000 rebate coming back from OG&E. So in essence, we'd be out almost $251,000 to upgrade all the lights in our buildings, in our facilities. We'd finance that over 5 years. And as you saw from seeing from Ann Chin, right now is probably as good a time as any to borrow money if we had to borrow, because the interest rates are relatively low, relatively competitive. So what we looked at would be the energy savings would pay for the financing in that 5-year period of time. At the end of 5 years, we would realize just on these buildings alone, a 57% savings in our utility bill. So we think that's a pretty good return on investment by doing it that way. The other thing that we like about it is the fact that the LEDs are so maintenance free. You don't have to have people coming in and changing bulbs out and everything of that nature. So we think it's a good investment for the city and a long-term return on investment that would benefit us. And I do have a representative from Oklahoma LED here. Joseph, you'd come up. And if you have any questions, we'd be happy to take those and answer them for you. Yes, sir.
Mayor, council members, thank you for the opportunity to present our company and our solution to you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again. We do this. We're the largest retrofit company in Oklahoma. We do more retrofitting than anybody in the state of Oklahoma. We are Oklahoma licensed electrical contractors. We travel around the state and we've done over 200 Oklahoma school districts converted to LED lighting with this exact same program. And the number one question I get is, that's a lot of numbers. We're saving you hundreds of thousands of dollars. How do you know that that be correct? Well, it's all based, what we do is very simple. A 65-watt light bulb burns 65 watts. We can't change that. That's a fact. So when I convert watts to kilowatt hours, how you pay your bill to OG&E, I can tell you exactly how much this light bulb costs you to operate per hour. So what we did with Brenton is we went through every single building in every single area and did a light audit, hours of operation survey. So the exact burn hours per building or per area. So these numbers are not, we hope you should, others have seen, these are all fact-based. When I replace this 65-watt light bulb with a 9-watt LED, I've lowered the wattage or the power by 86%. This is 86% cheaper to operate. The only difference between this example and the city of Durant in this proposal is you've got a lot of these, and they come in all shapes, sizes, colors. We use a very sophisticated software called SnapCount to perform the light audit, and Chris Schrader is our lead light auditor here today. So we're known for accuracy. OG&E and Clear Result will attest that we're one of the most accurate companies out there doing these projects. Your rebate is projected at $90,580. More than likely, it will be higher than that. We are very conservative when we're generating a rebate. So, questions?
Are there any questions for this
Yes.
gentleman?
You mentioned the rebate, and that's pretty significant. That's an OG&E annual rebate
One time.
for the conversion, I guess.
They pay, this year is the highest it's been in 4 or 5 years. They pay a flat 15 cents per kilowatt hour saved. So that math is very simple. You just add up all the kilowatt hours and that rebate is generated. So their rebate program is on a first come, first served basis. And because of COVID, in years past, about March, April, the rebate is depleted and everyone who wanted rebate would have to wait until the following year. Well, this year there's about $300,000 left in the rebate kitty, so to speak. So City of Durant would take up a third of that money. And that's a one-time.
Okay.
I have a quick question for someone. Is the 251,000 like laying around, or we got that budgeted, or where are we gonna get that?
We'd have to finance it, like it was not budgeted when we looked at it. Yes, sir.
Could,
The thing about it is, it was budgeted in the fact that we were gonna pay it to OG&E every month in the form of an electric bill. So by taking and changing it out and getting the energy savings, another thing I didn't mention is we were gonna do in these rooms, do occupancy sensors so that if the room is unoccupied, the light goes off. And then when you come in, of course, the lights work. But based on the buildings we looked at, our monthly expenditure to OG&E is $8,200 roughly a month. What we'll save in the energy conversion, our bill to pay for the new equipment, pay for the install, and pay for the electricity is going to be somewhere just right around that same amount of money per month for 5 years. After 5 years, we save 57%. Is that correct?
You know, I think it's a good idea and I want to do it. I just kind of wonder where the money's coming from.
Yes, sir. We'll have to finance that.
Basically, James, it won't cost us any more than it's costing us now.
What it costs us for the electric bill. We're just paying somebody else different.
Right, and then in 5 years, we'll really be able to.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. That's exactly. So
Okay.
it's,
So will we be going, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No. So will the Treasury Department go out for bids on it?
That's right. Ms. Ann Tim will look for the best, most competitive.
What's the amount of finance?
Any other questions for either of these gentlemen?
One more. On the finance, I guess we'll go for a 5-year loan or do we not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. That would be true. And at the end of 5 years, the entire system will be paid for, and we should be able to save quite a bit of money on what we're putting out in paying utilities.
Any other questions? Are we ready to call for the motion? Do we have a motion?
I make a motion, we approve the Oklahoma LED lighting proposal.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you all
Thank
very
you,
much.
James. Number 4E, FAA Airport Improvement Program, AIP Grant Agreement, DUA-3-40-0025-014-2020 for the install miscellaneous NAVAID Wincom project. And I'm assuming I need to go to A next, or do you need to explain this first?
Whichever, if you would like for me to explain what the grant is for, I'll be glad to do that.
Okay, how are you,
Okay.
Ms. Becker?
All right. This is a grant that we received from the Federal Aviation Agency, and it's to install a wind cone, or what I, as a common person would know, a windsock at the airport. And so these next 3 items are related to that grant.
Okay. EA, consideration to accept FAA Airport Improvement Program, AIP Grant Agreement, DUA-SWG-3-40-0025-014-2020 for the install miscellaneous NAVAID Wincom project for a maximum award amount of $28,120 for improvements at Durant Regional Airport, ECA Field, C-20-60.
And that's just requesting a motion to accept the grant award.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to accept the grant award.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries. Number B, consideration to approve construction bid award to Electric Power Solutions LLC in the amount of $17,500 related to the FAA Airport Improvement Program, AIP Grant Agreement, DUA-SWG-3-40-0025-014-2020, C-2020-60 for the install miscellaneous NAVAID Wincom project for improvements at Durant Regional Airport, Acre Field, C-2020-61.
That's a lot of numbers, isn't it?
Yes.
What I would like to request, and John, if you're okay with this, that the motion be made contingent upon FAA completing our award agreement. This is my first one of these, and I'm assuming once we, since you've approved it, it's returned tomorrow, that everything would be good to go. And that would be my recommendation, is that that construction award is contingent upon FAA completing the agreement.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions or is there any discussion? Are we ready for a motion?
I move we approve everything old and red and Becca said.
Oh, come on, repeat it.
I will if you want me to.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries. Cindy, do we need to put in here that it is contingent on the award agreement? I don't think we put that in the motion.
Correct. I think that he was, and that
Yeah.
Mike
You
was
said-
saying
okay.
everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, we're good to go.
I did have a question. Once, well, are we done with this item or we need to call?
We still have C.
Sorry,
The last part.
after we're done with this item.
Okay. All right, we are now on item C. Authorize mayor and city attorney to sign all related grant and construction bid award documents related to DUA-SWG-3-40-0025-014-2020, C-2020-60.
And this is an FAA requirement that we authorize that.
Okay. Any discussion or do we have a motion?
Motion to authorize the mayor and city attorney to sign all related documents to the Wincom project.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries. You good? Okay.
And I want to apologize, Cindy, I didn't catch this, but my numbering system was actually wrong. I should have had numbers instead of alpha. on those items, so I apologize.
Okay, item number F, consideration to approve resolution 2020-33 related to the CARES Act and the coronavirus relief funding for public safety personnel costs. Ms. Becker again.
Right. Most everyone is aware that with the CARES Act program, the state was awarded X amount of dollars, and then that money was given or allowed for us to submit reimbursements as we purchased and implemented COVID-19 related projects. The state then determined, or the governor's office, that the money would be divvied up amongst all of Oklahoma communities based upon a per ratio cost. So the city received $390,319.05. And we have already submitted some reimbursements. So we have $1,281,194.70 as a balance. And so now the state has said that we are allowed, if eligible, to submit the payroll cost for our public safety frontline employees from March 1st until through November 1. Through October 14th, we've exceeded that amount. So we have submitted a reimbursement for that. Then those funds would be allocated, which John will talk about in a little bit, to other expenditures, allowing the city to mitigate other COVID-19 projects. And so this resolution was, it was recommended that we request council approval so that it's basically as a support document for our reimbursement.
Is there any discussion or questions?
Yes.
John-
John and Becca, is I under administration, is that related to this one? Yeah, that we're considering now, the resolution?
That's what John's going to talk about, right?
I is how the staff sees us utilizing those funds that we would receive from this item.
From this, from there? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Do I hear a motion?
Move approval of resolution 2020-33 related to the CARES Act.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries. Number G, consideration to approve or reject construction bid award in the amount of $3,514,078 to Core and Main LP as identified in a sealed bid opening on September 3rd at 2 p.m. related to the U.S. Department of Interior Bureau of Reclamation Water Smart Water and Energy Efficient Grant Program, WEEG R19AP00124 C-2020-18. Ms. Becca.
Okay, to give a little historical data, this is related to the grant that we received from the Bureau of Reclamation for our citywide AMR project. And then also as a match for this, there is an OWRB loan. So the bid is within budget. And there were two, and actually I have bid tabs. Would you like to see those? Anyone? You may need your tiny spectacles to see that. Sorry.
Thank you, ma'am.
actually 3 bids received. One was incomplete, that the bid proposal did not include installation. So there are 2 bidders listed on your bid tab, and Core and Main is the lowest bid, and they've met all the requirements. I've had several conversations with the engineer. Is Brandon here? Okay. Let's see. I was involved with some conversation with OWRB today, and I'm not 100% sure that they received all the information that they need. So once again, I'm going to ask for your motion to be contingent upon the BOR and OWRB office's approval for the bid award, please.
Are there any more questions?
I have a question. The amount, Rebecca, the roughly 3.5 million, does that include the cost for consultation engineering, the $300,000 or
Well,
330?
this
I
bid
believe?
award, no, sir, this is
Okay.
just for the AMR equipment and installation, which will be turnkey. Okay, so there's $1,498 actually, because they kept 2 million for the environmental. And then we have up to 4 million that's OWRB funds. So we actually have 4 million, 5 million, a little over 5 million if we need to spend all of the OWRB funds.
So it's not, we don't want to spend it
No.
all. We don't
No,
have to.
that's
is
right.
the point.
We can use it for other things.
Right. So my question, second part of this, first part was the engineering. The second part is, I believe, in July when we received packet from Brandon, it also had roughly a $300,000, 10% cost overrun, I guess.
Well,
So our potential, is that factored in as well?
Well, let me back up and answer your first question because I really didn't. The engineering is about 300,000, I think 356.
Yeah.
And that is included in the project budget, but not part of this construction. And there is a contingency. No, I don't think this grant allows contingency. I'm sorry, I should have brought that budget with me. Is that what you're talking about that he proposed?
I'm referring to the document that Brandon provided. The last item is construction contingency of 10% or a little over $300,000. That was in addition to his cost fee of $332,000. And at that time, he had proposed the budget would be 3.6 million roughly.
Right. So usually there is some contingency allowed in that, and we have money there if need be, or let's say, because we've proposed about 6,000 meters. So if they find that they need more meters, then the cost, of course, would increase for the construction.
Okay, so let me back up a second, maybe
Okay.
I can clarify. He estimated it to be $3.6 million roughly for the entire project.
Mhm.
This bid come in at $3.5 million, not counting the 10% contingency or his fees. So we're looking at a little over 4 million, 4.1 million now, possible. Is that correct? Or am I misinterpreting that?
Well, actually, if we just took that bid amount and added in the
Right.
300,000 for engineering, we're at 3.8,
Mm-hmm.
but we actually have 5 million
Right.
in our budget.
I know what we have. It's just a year ago when this was proposed to council, it was estimated, I thought, unless I'm wrong, that it was around 3.2 million or 3.3. And that's a pretty substantial increase.
Do you have it? Yes, actually. No.
We have changed the project a little bit too in scope. So if you'll remember, we were cutting it down to 5 towers and we were only going to get about 85% propagation. Well, now that the loan came in and actually has more available cash in it, we've asked him to do all the towers, all 11 or 12, I don't remember, for 100% propagation so we get a better product. Now we're not having to drive any of them anymore. They can all be read by a button. So the scope of work has changed a little bit throughout the last year from the original estimate as well.
Okay. And I also noticed this estimate actually had March of 19 on it. The one that we provided.
Which is a year, yeah,
Yes,
year and a half ago.
right, but it's the one that was presented to council, I guess, 2 months ago.
2 months ago.
Or
Oh, was it?
part of Brandon's, his packet, yes.
Yeah, it was just an original estimate.
Okay.
What it was.
All right.
So the number he provided you for his document is, that's what you were approving. We were kind of giving you an overall estimate because at that time we hadn't bid. So we didn't know exactly where it was going to come in. If that makes sense.
It does. I mean, adding the towers, obviously,
Sure.
there's added expense that we weren't aware of, I guess.
And this, all of the bid on the equipment is per unit. So if they only need 5,900 meters, the price goes down. If they need 6,100, it goes up, but it's per unit cost that they gave us on the bid. And we did that on purpose too, so there could be some negotiating room.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it would come through with a change order like anything else
Right.
would. But there is a potential we would add or subtract equipment based on what we actually find in the ground.
That's all I needed. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions? Any further discussion? Are we ready for the motion?
Becca, did you mention that the motion needs a contingency?
I think that I did, but good thought there, please. Yes, because I mentioned contingent upon BOR and OWRB's approval of the bid documentation.
Well, as Councilmember Morris did, I recommend and make a motion to approve what Becca just said.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson, Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Kuby.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number H, consideration to approve or reject seal bid to Wynn Construction Company, Inc. of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, in the amount of $1,699,000 related to Public Works Grant Number 08-01-05284, C 2019-22 for wastewater treatment plant improvements, contingent upon all required documentation approved by U.S. Department of Commerce Economic Development Administration, EDA.
And I put it in there this time, didn't I? And this is the project that is related to the EDA grant that we received in the amount of $1.5 million. It also has $700,000 of Choctaw Nation's match funding. And it is for the sludge press at the wastewater treatment plant. And I did not bring my bid tab, but I provided that for you in your packets. Do you have any questions on that?
Any questions? Do we have a motion?
I move we approve the bid to Wynn Construction in the amount of $1,699,000 for Public Works wastewater treatment plant improvements, contingent upon all documentation.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Kuby.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you so much.
Becca.
Thank you.
We now move into the public hearing session of our meeting.
We have one more.
We have
agenda
one.
item.
Oh, I missed that one, sorry. Item I, consider approval of projects utilizing reimbursements from the CARES Forward funds. Mr. John.
All right. Well, to get to Mr. Tomlinson's question, staff has gone through and looked at items that we believe would be beneficial to us to to put in place with the money that we're going to receive from the CARES Fund to make us more resilient in the future to things of this nature of the COVID-19, the pandemic. So there's a whole laundry list, I believe 4 pages of things here. If you have any specific questions of items, I'd be happy to entertain, or the staff that pertains to would be happy to entertain those.
John, I'd like to thank you for explaining all that to me this morning.
Yes, ma'am. One of the big ticket items on there is the $500,000 for a emergency supply and distribution warehouse. My understanding is that was proposed and supposed to be done when they built the EOC, and that has never been completed. We do serve as a distribution point for this part of Oklahoma in all types of emergencies. So
Anyone have any questions? You want to look a little bit more? It's quite a long list.
it is. You know, one of the other things we did put in there were kiosks. We'd like to make us more resilient in how we have standoff with the public and the ability to make it easier on them. So we proposed locations of 4 different kiosks. One is a drive-through in the alley behind us. One at the police department, which gives 24-hour access as well. One at the library and one at City Hall. The one in the lobby at City Hall would be beneficial to court. So we wouldn't have to have an individual taking payments as we do now in court. They could go straight to the kiosk after being in court. So
I appreciate all the apparent time and effort that went into, I think you called it a laundry list.
yes, sir.
And all the things that I guess that apparently qualify for the CARES Act reimbursement stuff. That's, is it kind of a done deal?
Well, this is subject to council's approval, but these are all projects that would be, based on our knowledge of the CARES Act, what's been approved in the past, all these projects would be approved for that CARES Fund. But by being able to apply just for the public safety payroll, makes it a lot easier on us. We only have to do one application as opposed to 25 or 30 different applications for projects or items.
Don, it's obvious to me that you and your staff have done an outstanding job on this document. So I'm impressed with what I'm seeing.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, they have. And also, John, we're very lucky we got this. It's kind of like finding some money or something.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think we're all very excited about it. Is there any further? Becca's waving her hand back there.
And also, we're going to try to submit a grant to FEMA for the warehouse. So if that's an eligible item and we think that it will be, then it would be about $325,000. I can pay our match, 25% match, be about $325,000 we can use on other items.
That's correct. We do intend to leverage as much of this as possible with FEMA money as well, so to spread our dollars.
That's
I
my
forgot.
understanding.
Thank you, Becca.
Sorry, go ahead, Thomas. I was just going to say, it's my understanding, visiting with Marty the other day, that there's a possibility that we may be able to do land swap or something with OG&E, that they're needing some acreage we have for a substation that might free up that $50,000 for the pole relocation for the drive-through.
Quite possibly.
So there's obviously a little leeway for us to spend the money elsewhere.
Yes, sir.
What about these signs? You've got 5 signs. Are these permanent signs or portable? What?
The idea with the signs was to put permanent message boards so we could have information out all throughout the community, possibly one at around Southeastern, just different key locations in the city, so people would be able to see information, not necessarily have to go to a specific location.
I'm assuming these are digital. What size
Yes,
are
sir.
they at 30,000?
They're very similar, Danny, to what's in the fairgrounds on 9th Street. That's kind of what we're
That's what we do. I don't know what specific size they are. I don't know.
Any other questions? Any further discussion? Are we ready for a motion?
Motion to approve the projects utilizing reimbursement for the CARES Forward funds.
I second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson, Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries. Good job, City Manager. We now are moving into the public hearing, and any of the parties, both parties who are here who wish to speak would need to come forward, give their names and addresses. And our item is consideration of PC 2020-15, ordinance number 1911, rezoning and preliminary plat for property near the intersection of Main Street and State Highway 70. Hi, Ms. Danielle.
Good evening. This is an item for rezoning and preliminary plat for an area that's near Main Street and the bypass there. The short version of this is essentially it is a dual zone property right now. Part of that front few hundred feet is zoned as C2 and the back half is R3. And what the property owners is wanting to do is extend that C2 a little bit further into the property and then develop the back portion as residential single family homes, and then have the front portion for some commercial development. Is what they're wanting to do. They're wanting to have kind of a commercial, like a medium-sized shopping center is what they're wanting to have in there. The Planning Commission and staff are wanting to have this recommend approval of this request. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. The applicant is also here with their representatives if you have any further questions.
Anyone have, I guess we're going to have to take this in two parts. Consider the action on ordinance 1911, section 1. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on that? And the zoning commission did overwhelmingly approve this, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. There's only one commissioner that voted no, but yes, majority of them voted yes.
Okay. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on 5A, number 2? Is there anyone who wishes to speak? Anyone? If not, can we call for the motion? On 2, consider action on ordinance 1911, section 1.
I move we approve ordinance 1911, section 1.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye. Motion carries. Number 3, consider action on ordinance 1911, section 2.
That is just the emergency clause of that.
Okay, that's the emergency clause. Do we have a motion?
I move we approve ordinance 1911, section 2.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Public hearing is now closed. The next item is number 6, executive session, and at this time, we are going to recess out of the regular council meeting. And I suppose we need a vote. Tom? Do we have a motion that we recess? out of regular session of the council at this time.
Motion to recess.
Second,
I'll second.
we have a motion and a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye. It is now 7:01, and the Durant City Utilities Authority is now in session. Would the secretary please call the roll?
Trustee Shear,
Here.
Trustee Tomlinson, Trustee Morris, Vice Chairman Brittingham,
Here.
Chairman Groby.
Here, we have a quorum. We have one item under consent items. Number A, consider approval of regular meeting minutes of August the 11th, 2020. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve the consent item.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Trustee Shear,
Aye.
Trustee Tomlinson,
Aye.
Trustee Morris,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Brittingham,
Aye.
Chairman Groby.
Aye, motion carries. We have information items, number 3. If anyone has any questions about any of the monthly reports. If not, we'll move to number 4, administration. Number A, consider approval of agreement C-2020-58 with Wall Engineering for the 13th in Arkansas Water Tank Rehabilitation Project in the amount of $35,750. Mr. Marty.
Yes, ma'am. So as you know, we have about a $2 million budget we're going to spend on the water treatment plant rehabilitation this year. Part of that is being sectioned out into this water tower rehabilitation because it's really its own project, but it's all coming out of the same kind of pocket of money. This is going to authorize Wall Engineering to start the bid process and the project oversight for it. It's not a lot of engineering that goes with it, but he's going to help get the qualified bidders and get the bids out. We expect this project to cost somewhere in the neighborhood of $400,000. But this is, again, just for the engineer portion. We'll bring you any bids that we get in the next month or so when the time comes.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Any questions? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve agreement C-2020-58 with Wall Engineering for the water tank rehabilitation project.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Trustee Shear,
Aye.
Trustee Tomlinson,
Aye.
Trustee Morris,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Brittingham,
Aye.
Chairman Groby.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Marty. Do we have a motion for adjournment out of the Durant City Utilities Authority?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the secretary please record the vote?
Trustee Shear,
Aye.
Trustee Tomlinson,
Aye.
Trustee Morris,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Brittingham,
Aye.
Chairman Groby.
Aye. We're now adjourned out of the Utility Authority. It is now 7:07. We'll now call to order the Durant Airport Authority. Would the secretary please call the roll?
Trustee Shear,
Here.
Trustee Tomlinson,
Here.
Trustee Morris,
Here.
Vice Chairman Brittingham,
Here.
Chairman Groby.
Here, we do have a quorum. Number 1, under consent items. Number A, consider approval of regular meeting minutes of August 11th, 2020. Do we have a motion or is there any discussion about the minutes? Or do we have a motion to accept those minutes?
I make a motion, we accept those minutes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the secretary please record the vote?
Trustee Shear,
Aye.
trustee Tomlinson,
Aye.
trustee Morris,
Aye.
vice chairman Brittingham,
Aye.
chairman Groby.
Aye, motion carries. We have nothing under administration. Is there any new business? Number 5. If not, do we have a motion for adjournment?
I move we adjourn.
We have a motion for adjournment. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second to adjourn from the Airport Authority. Would the secretary please record the vote?
Trustee Shear,
Aye.
trustee Tomlinson,
Aye.
trustee Morris,
Aye.
vice chairman Brittingham,
Aye.
chairman Groby.
Aye. We are now adjourned from the Airport Authority. We will now go back, I guess, to the city council. And I assume, Mr. Markham, do I need to give you time and start over? Okay. We will now go back to item number 6, executive session. And we have under 6A, we have several items to consider in executive session. And I don't think I have to read them all at this time. So we are now in executive session and headed that way.
I have to
Huh?
move.
Do I have a motion? We go.
Motion to enter executive session.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Who made the second? We
I
have-
did,
Okay.
Mike.
We have a motion and a second. Would the secretary please, or clerk please record the vote?
I want to make sure we're council members making this vote. Okay. Just make sure I call the right thing. Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye. We are now headed for executive session. I think. Hi.
I sat there watching that. How are you?
Those signs, when you see that electronic sign at the,
She got it.
James Ross and Hunter, they paid about 40,000 for those. So, they could be.
It's hard for me to drink. actually, I can run around bragging tonight, and I can't catch it again, from what I understand. I can't catch it, and I can't get it anymore. So they say. My doctor said he was 99.99% sure, but he said he wasn't. But I keep, huh? I know. I am back to, it is so cold in here. This is, I'm gonna breathe on this thing.
Back on.
We are now moving back into our regular session. Do we have a motion? We do so.
Motion to reconvene.
Yeah, we're going to reconvene into regular session.
That was it.
Second.
Oh, you make the motion. I'm sorry. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Trustee Shear, trustee Tomlinson,
Aye.
trustee Morris,
Aye.
vice chairman Brittingham,
Aye.
chairman Groby.
Aye. Motion carries. Under number 6, executive session. Number 1 will be no action. Number 2 will be no action. Tom, you did say I didn't have to read them, didn't you?
That's right.
Okay. Number 3, item number 3 will be no action. Item number 4 will be no action. Item number 5 will be no action. Item number 6, no action. Is there any new business? Item number 7. If not, do we have a motion for adjournment? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Shear, Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye. We're now adjourned.